Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of The Breakdown here on the LoudMouth MMA Network. I'm your co-host, Max Friedman, also trademark MMA on Twitter, joined by an absolute force in social media and the MMA media community, Big Marcel Dorf of MMA DNA. Big Marcel, it's fight week. You excited?
Absolutely, man. Always good to break down some fights, and thanks for the kind words, man. You're doing yourself great as well, And let's get this thing rolling. Looking forward to it.
I'm excited too. It's UFC 234 coming live at you Saturday, February 9, 2019. That's actually going to be February 10th local time from the land down under at the Rod Laver Arena in Melbourne, Australia. Before we get started, just want to remind everyone of the LoudMouth MMA Network that can be found all over the internet, whether it be iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to subscribe. Got some really great content on the network. Got the Not Safe for MMA show, recapping the weeks in MMA. MMA yesterday, looking at some of the old UFC events. Always fun to look back at those. DFS Express for all you daily fantasy users out there. Interviews, fight companions, but don't forget Around the Cage, hosted by the great Davidson Baker of the MMA Takeover. MMA's version of Around the Horn on ESPN. Both myself, Big Marcel, have been on the show. Neither of us were able to capture a win, unfortunately, but I think we both put up valiant efforts nonetheless. Be sure to check that one out. A good new episode just dropped on the network. So as always, subscribe to the Loudmouth MMA Network podcast. Now, Big Marcel, we started tallying all our picks for the year, including bonuses. I'm about to read the updated standings, but any last words you want to say before I expose to the masses here? That's a no. All right. Well, picks for the year. A nice Fortaleza card last week. I went 7-6 overall. My co-host Marcel, an abysmal 3-10, running the total for the year. I'm at 17-10. Big Marcel, 13-14. You need to get over the hump, man. Get out of over the 500 record. For bonuses, we also are picking bonuses. We both are tied at 4. And then underdogs, my underdog pick of Thiago Alves cash last week. Whether you agree with it or not, he did get the win over Max Griffin. Whether it was a hometown decision or not, he did walk away with it. Big Marcel, any last final thoughts on Fortaleza before we head into UFC 234?
Yeah, fun event, man. I mean, some good fights on there. I think Johnny Walker was impressive. What about Damian Maia coming back after 3 losses like that? I mean, against what, in my opinion, a very good fighter, Lyman Good. Yeah, we can talk great about that card. It was a crazy card, so I really enjoyed watching it from the prelims till the main card. So I want to give some extra shout out to Jairzinho Rosenstruck with the amazing ending finish over Junior Albini comeback win. I think it was very nice.
Yeah, never easy to get a win in Brazil against a Brazilian. Hats off to the newcomer there. And just want to point out Marlon Moraes in the main event, man, how far he's come since his UFC debut. Really solidified himself as the #1 contender in that division, in my opinion. But nonetheless, we're here to talk about this weekend's event, UFC 234, coming at you Saturday in the U.S., Sunday local time. Let's get right into it, starting from the bottom. Kicking off the show, we have bantamweights. Jonathan Martinez taking on Luigi Buren. Martinez, a -200 favorite. Buren, a +160 underdog. Both looking for their first UFC win. Buren might be on the chopping block here. 0-2 in his first 2. Meanwhile, Martinez 0-1. His UFC debut, a short notice bout against Andre Sukumta, came up on the losing end of a decision. Buren, like we mentioned, 0-2 losses to Rolando D and Marlon Chito Vera. Big Marcel, we'll kick it with you. How do you see this one going?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think Luigi Buren is on the chopping block here. I wasn't impressed by him in his first fight against Rolando D, but I think in the Marlon Vera fight, he showed in the first round that he had something in his back. But he got finished in the second one, and he needs to win this one. And Jonathan Martinez took the fight on short notice against Andre Sukumtat. Looked pretty well, I think, for a short notice fight. And also Andre Sukumtat said he did pretty well against him, didn't expect it. I'd go for Martinez in this one because I think he's a raw talent, and I see him with a little bit more. If you build this guy a little bit more, he can be a force in the division maybe in a few years. Not right now, but in a few years. And that's it. I have to go with Martinez here, probably by a finish. I see him submitting Willie G. Buer in the second round.
Yeah, it just seems like Martinez has a lot more skills on paper at this point in his career. You mentioned the Chito Vera fight really I'm sorry for the Andre Sukumta fight. Really did perform pretty well, being a short notice bout. Agreed on that front. Martinez a submission, second round.
Same.
Let's head to the lightweight division. And first and foremost, I'm going to say I don't agree with this betting line at all. But Jalen Turner welcomes the local newcomer Callan Potter to the UFC. Turner a -275 favorite. The well-traveled Potter +215. Turner only 7-4 in his career, and he's coming off that debut loss to Vicente Luque. I mean, no shame in losing to Vicente Luque, but a hard loss to take. Still only 23 though. Has won 3 of 4 by TKO. Potter, on the other hand, very well traveled. He's 9-1 in his last 10, while he's 17-7 overall. 34 years old. That one loss in that last 10 came at the hands of Marcin Held via submission. Big Marcel, does the newcomer in his homeland perform, or is Jalen Turner the real deal and he gets it done?
I think it's a game fight what Potter is going to give him, but my pick is here Jalen Turner for the simple fact that I think that Turner is a very raw talent. I see him going far, and Callan Potter is a little bit older. I think he's a veteran. He has like multiple titles in regional promotions. That's Jalen Turner. I really was impressed with him against Max Mustaki in the Contender Series. I think it was unfortunate for him that the fight got stopped due to an injury, and he didn't get the contract, but he got one short notice against Vicente Luque, which was actually at a welterweight division, whereas normally a lightweight. He's a huge lightweight, by the way. And yeah, he lost that fight, but I see him bouncing back here. I think it's really unfortunate that Alex Gorgees had to pull out of his fight against Jalen Turner, which was the original fight. And now Jalen Turner probably by a decision. I think Callan Potter is a very tough veteran, and I see this going to a very very hard fought decision. But I'm going with Jalen Turner in this one, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, Turner's got an exciting style and a lot to be excited about. Huge for the weight class. Potter, while he is 34, I just like the way he's put it together in these recent years. A primary training partner of Robert Whitaker, I believe. Potter, I think, has a good opportunity here to capitalize on a home field advantage fight, coming in on short notice. I'll give Potter the edge here. The veteran gets it done. Underdog submission late in the fight, round 3 maybe, once he gasses out the bigger Turner. But I'll take the underdog here. Potter going to get it done in his UFC debut.
Ooh, we might have an underdog pick already here.
Yeah. All right, well, headlining the early prelims, Lando Venata taking on another newcomer. This is Marcos Mariano Hosa. A little surprised to see Lando Venata re-signed by the UFC. I mean, he is 0-2-2 in his last 4. He's winless since 2016 in December when he knocked out John McDessie with that beautiful spinning head kick. On the flip side, not too much known about Marcos Hosa. He's 6-4 overall, and he is 32 years old. He is known that he is a teammate of Anderson Silva, who is also competing in the co-main event and has won 4 of 5. Big Marcel, on paper, it seems like this is a perfect opportunity for Lando Venata to get back on track here. I mean, just looking at the stat sheet, he should be the superior striker here. But enlighten the people. What do they expect in this fight?
It is what you say, man. I mean, Lando Venata, we all know is the way he fights is very attractive to look at. You know, you get Marcus Mariano Rosa. He's not much known about him. You know, we all know now he's the training partner of Anderson Silva, 6-4. Really weird matchmaking right here. I think it's like, for me, it's like the UFC is trying to do Anderson Silva a favor here. To put this guy on the card. I mean, I don't see anything else why they would put this guy on the card. Maybe I'm wrong. We will see it on Saturday. But Lando Venata is going to win this one, and he's finally going to win since that McDessie win like 5 fights ago. And I'm going with the TKO in the second round. I think Mariano has some good stand-up as well, but Venata should be having the advantage overall in this fight. So going with the TKO for Lando. And finally a win again for him. Attractive style, fans love him, and I think he needs this one as well he re-signed with the UFC, but he needs a win. So yeah. Lando Venata.
Lando, a -350 favorite in this one. I agree with you. I think he gets right back on track. Fast start, gets the newcomer Rosa out of there early in the first round. Venata TKO round 1. All right, we move into the televised prelims here. A battle of Asian contenders. We got Kyung-Ho Kong taking on Teruto Ishihara. Kong, a big favorite, -450 for the South Korean. Comeback on the Japanese Ishihara out of Team Alpha Male, +325. Big line here, but this is a fun fight, man. Kong, a guy that to me has been underrated and underappreciated for a long time. It was impressive that he was able to return from that military layoff in such competitive form. Meanwhile, Ishihara badly needs a win here, man. He's 1-3 in his last 4, coming off that really tough KO loss to Peter Yan. Kong, is he too much? Is he too big, too strong, too well-rounded for Teru in this one, Big Marcel?
Yeah, I feel so. I mean, Kyung-Ho Kang, he has impressed me in the UFC. I think his loss to Ricardo Ramos last time was pretty close. Could have been could have gone his way as well. Like you said, coming back from military service, great win against Guido Canetti, was also come from behind victory. I think that one. Ishihara has never impressed me since his Lobov loss, honestly. I mean, it's like it's been done for him since that loss, and he won against Rolando D in a fight where he won the first round by 10-8, I think, and he lost the last 2 rounds, but Rolando got a point deduction, and that's why he won, and wasn't a draw. So looking at that, and I think Kyung-Ho Kang will win this fight probably by being too strong on the ground, and going with a submission win in the second round by guillotine choke for Kyung-Ho Kang right here.
All right. Big Marcel has Mr. Perfect, Kyung-Ho Kong, submission in the second round. I have Kong via unanimous decision. We're going to have to start picking some different fights here. Otherwise, we're going to have the same outcomes. All right, well, we go to the flyweights now. Whether or not they are, in fact, still on the roster or not, number 15 ranked Kai Kara France, the Australian, or I'm sorry, he is actually from New Zealand. He is a -300 favorite against a debuting Brazilian, Julian Paiva. And Big Marcel, I will let you start things off here in the flyweight division.
Yeah, I mean, Kai Kara France, I think enough has been said about him. I mean, people are very high on him for a long time. He was in the Ultimate Fighter season 24, where he lost to Alexandre Pantoja. Then he went to Ryzen, and then he worked himself up in the Asian circuit, and now he got a chance in the fight of the night performance, won against Elias Garcia. Was very impressive. Julian Paiva, via the contender series in Brazil, he went to the UFC. I don't agree with the line here. I think it's pretty much it's much more closer than -300. I think, and I'm going here for the upset, man. I'm pretty high on Julian Paiva. What I saw from him, despite I almost can't pronounce his name correctly, but yeah, I'm going with him by unanimous decision. And now another unanimous decision. I'm going with a late finish TKO in the third round. I'm not going with a unanimous decision. TKO.
Wow, pick against the home crowd favorite in Kara France. And you alluded to it, that fight against Elias Garcia, ultra impressive UFC debut, and he kept that hard pace for 15 minutes. Paiva, though, is getting undervalued here in the Vegas odds. He's 18-1, and he's won 12 straight, including that Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series win. I know he was involved in a pretty bad car accident in October, but seems to have gotten his health in order because he's clearly fighting on this event. So would think he's healthy enough to compete.
Okay,
Meanwhile, what'd you say?
Can I add something to that?
I still didn't catch that. I didn't catch
that. Can I add something to that?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I thought you said congrats.
No, I mean, he was in that car accident, but actually what the story is that he and his girlfriend got followed, and they got like they were on a motorcycle, I think, and they got pushed off the road by someone on purpose, and his girlfriend died. And he's still alive, and he wanted to stop with martial arts, but he is still going through because his girlfriend, her wish was he signed with the UFC, so he went through with it. But he almost stopped his MMA career because his girlfriend died, actually got murdered in that traffic accident.
Well, that's absolutely horrific. Did not know the details there, but if in case you needed any more motivation, Raulian Paiva now competing for his late girlfriend here. Big Marcel's got the late TKO upset. I'll go with Kara France here, unanimous decision, but would not be surprised to see Paiva come aboard and get a win in his UFC debut. We got featherweights on deck. Shane Young, the local, taking on Austin Arnett. Young, another big favorite on the card, -300. Comeback on Arnett is +230. Arnett, man, he's staying busy in the UFC. This is his fourth fight in just about a year, and that doesn't include his Contender Series fight either. Now, Young comes in with a 1-1 record, recently taking out the aforementioned Rolando D. Both have a long way to go in this division, not going to lie. They're both probably not being talked about as far as the upper echelon, but no reason to think that they can't improve. Big Marcel, who gets it done in this one?
Yeah, this is one I'm really torn about, because I think Austin Arnett, he looked very good in his last fight against Humberto Bandenay. And Shane Young, he also looked good, I think, in the fight that was a fight of the night against Rolando D. He got the finish, was also very nice. And before that, he lost to Volkanovski on short notice by unanimous decision. And back then, yeah, exactly. And back then, I wasn't like, oh my God, that's something, it's pretty much great. Not great to lose to Volkanovski, but right now to go a unanimous decision against a guy you had like a week notice to fight or something, that's pretty impressive to know where Volkanovski is now, That said, I'm really leaning towards slightly against Shane Young. I'm not 100% sure, because I think Arnett, I feel like very comparison matchup right here. But if I go 50-50 right now, I've learned from Fortaleza I have to go with the home fighter, with the favorite right here. So I'm going with Shane Young by unanimous decision this fight. But very close fight for me. I think both guys have very much to bring to the table. And for Arnett, it kind of sucks, I think, because he will get cut if he loses this one, because he has only one win in like 3 or 4, I think. Then I hope not for him, but that's what I think.
Yeah, he's 1-2 in the UFC, but also has that loss on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, fight of the season with with Brandon Davis. Yeah. Almost said Mike Davis. Yeah, Arnett definitely more competitive since his debut, and Humberto Bandenay, he really turned it on late in that fight, took over, really went after that win in impressive fashion. Shane Young, far more improved in his sophomore UFC outing than his UFC debut against Volkanovski, although no shame in losing there. One of the best featherweights in the world right now. But Young, I think, gets it done here with the home crowd win. I'll take a unanimous decision for the local guy. All right, featured prelim, televised prelim, should be a really fun matchup here at 155 pounds. Devontae Smith taking on the maestro Dong Yun Ma, formerly Dong Yun Kim, but now going by Dong Yun Ma. Smith, the latest Factory X import to make a splash in the UFC. Man, that camp has really grown and done really well in recent years. Took out Julian Erosa in impressive fashion in his UFC debut. Meanwhile, the other side of the coin, though, Maestro Donghyun Ma, really impressed over the last 3 years. He's improved, man. He's riding a win streak coming into this fight. Been entertaining in pretty much all of his UFC fights. And as I lose my co-host here as we're breaking down this fight, but while he's joining, I will go ahead and give my thoughts here. Devontae Smith, very athletic, very fun to watch, heavy-handed, minus 240 favorite, and I think that's right around the right spot for him. Donghyun Ma, judo black belt, I believe, has impressed in his UFC outings over Takanori Gomi and as well as Brendan O'Reilly. But this is a good matchup on paper for Devontae Smith. I think he's going to get it done here. The latest of the Factory X fighters to get it done. So I'm going to go with Devontae Smith via TKO in the second round. Big Marcel, I was giving my breakdown while you fixed your technical difficulties, but welcome back and tell us what you think about this Devontae Smith Donghyun Ma matchup.
Yeah, man, Devontae Smith was very impressive in his 2 outings for the UFC in the Dana White Contender Series. He was very impressive, I think. And also in his debut against Julian Erosa, that fight didn't take very long. Donghyun Ma on a 3-fight winning streak right now. Got on a 2-fight losing streak when he started in the UFC, but that fight against Paulo Reyes, man, that was crazy and so underrated. Really, people.
His UFC debut against Dominique Steele, that was a great fight too.
Definitely, that was that slam, right?
Yeah, the slam knockout. But
yeah,
he was arguably winning up a weight class too.
True, but definitely also the Reyes fight. Check it out if you never seen it before, man. And then you probably have to type in Donghyun Kim instead of Donghyun Ma. So yeah, I have to go with Devontae Smith right here, man. I think he has more tools to get this thing done, and I'm seeing him knock him out in the first round, and I think that would be a huge statement from Devontae Smith. And I think Donghyun Ma, I still have to I'll still say Donghyun Kim, but I think Ma gets very underrated. But I have to pick Smith right here and knockout first round, and in an impressive way, in a typical Devontae Smith way. Let's say it that way.
Was that Joseph Lowry? He knocked out on the Contender.
Yeah, man. Exactly.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Thanks for filling me in. I lost the name.
Yeah, no problem. We're back and we're rolling here. Light heavyweights on deck to kick off the main card. Jimmy Crute, another hometown guy, taking on Smiling Sam Alvey. Crute, a minus 145 favorite. The 22-year-old in his sophomore UFC outing, victorious in his UFC debut over Paul Craig. Smiling Sam, come back on him, plus 115. The hot upstart, Jimmy Crute, off his Dana White Tuesday Night Contender Series and UFC debut victory, jumping into the deep end here, a much tougher foe at 9-0 and only 22. Is this too much too quick for Jimmy Crute?
I don't know, man. With Sam Alvey, I like to see him fight, but it's always a hit or miss, you know. And Jimmy Crute, he was supposed to fight Ryan Spann here, but Spann got injured. Alvey got from the pre card where he was actually fighting Antigua, so he wasn't training. I don't know, man. I was pretty impressed with Jim Crute. Definitely his ground game was pretty impressive against Paul Craig, I think. He got that nice Kimura right before the end of the fight. Sam Alvey, yeah, like I said, it's hit or miss with Sam Alvey. Sometimes you get a great knockout, but he's a counter striker. He waits for his opponent to make a move, and he capitalizes on it. Maybe that can be a downfall for Jimmy Crute if he gets in that trap. But I think he's smart enough to don't fall for it, and I think he can finish Sam Alvey here, man. I wouldn't be surprised, but. I think Sam Alvey is tough as well, so I take your unanimous decision win for the local guy Jim Crute, and that's all I can say, man. But I think it will be a fun fight. I hope it will be a fun fight, and yeah, let's see what's happening. I think Jim Crute has a lot to bring to the table. Definitely at 205, where the division needs new blood, and I think he has all the tools to go there far.
Yeah, a lot to be excited about on that front, and I'm really disappointed that the Ryan Spann fight didn't materialize. Got a feel for Ryan Spann. Know he's really excited to get in there, but a broken hand has taken him out of this fight. Um, Man, my initial reaction was Jimmy Crute is going to get it done with a unanimous decision. However, I've kind of gone back and forth on this fight, and now thinking more and more about Crute's style and that really offensive style. I think it plays into Sam Alvey's counter-striking ability really well. I mean, like you said, hit or miss. He's 3-3 in his last 6. He's coming off that devastating TKO loss to the Little Nog. But I'm gonna favor Alvey here. He's gone into hostile territory before and gotten it done, quieted the crowd. I'm gonna say Alvey gets the finish here. TKO in the second. But the upset alarm is ringing here, and I'm glad we got another difference on paper here. Women's flyweights on deck. The number 14 ranked Montana De La Rosa, a big -265 favorite over Nadia Kassem. De La Rosa actually opened up as a -125 favorite, so a lot of action thrown her way. De La Rosa looking to go 3-0 in the UFC, riding a lot of momentum. She's one half of the husband and wife combo and the second of the husband and wife combinations to compete in the UFC. The other being, off the top of your head, do you know, Big Marcel, who's the other husband and wife combination to compete in the UFC? Do you know this off the top of your head?
Ronda Rousey, Travis Brown.
Yeah, good job. Well done. I had to think about that one for a second. But De La Rosa, 9-4 overall, 8-2 in her last 10, and those 2 losses coming to Mackenzie Dern and Cynthia Calvillo prior to the UFC. But Kassem 1-0 in the UFC. Her debut win over Alex Chambers, although did it get overturned, if I'm recalling correctly? No. That's, sorry, thinking of somebody else. But a good grappler, trains with the Mokhtarian brothers, also young, 23. Wouldn't be surprised if she's able to get the upset here, but man, the De La Rosa family seems like they're riding momentum left and right. They're putting together game plans really well when they step in. I like De La Rosa to get it done via decision here. Big Marcel, how do you see this one going?
I'm also picking De La Rosa here, so I'm sorry we're not going to differ in this one. Nadia Kassem, she has some vicious hands, man. She has very many knockouts on her record. Only a fight against Chambers she had. De La Rosa very technical on the ground, I think, and I think De La Rosa is gonna get it done with the submission, probably in the second round via, let's say, a rear naked choke. I think that's gonna happen, but. Yeah, Nadia Kassem, she's still undefeated. So, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, if she can hit her very hard, maybe De La Rosa goes down, but I see De La Rosa winning this with a submission, man.
Yeah, that's her move, too. Both of them, her and Mark, both great off the back, and the rear naked choke's the one they go to. So wouldn't be surprised if that's how that fight ends as well. We got men's bantamweights, third on the main card here. Haniyaya, the number 15 ranked bantamweight, taking on Ricky Simone. Interesting movement on this betting line. Simone opened as a -135 favorite. Now a little bit of money coming in on Yaya. Simone now -115. Yaya going from +105 to -105. Really fun fight on paper, but Big Marcel, I will let you kick things off for this matchup.
Man, maybe Rani Ayas, maybe the most underrated guy in the bantamweight division, man. The guy has so good BJJ background. He knows perfectly how to transfer to MMA. Ricky Simone, he had a good win against Montel Jackson last time out. I think the Merab Dvalishvili. Yeah, I personally didn't like the outcome there. I think they should have. Yeah, exactly. I think it was a very weird fight, to be honest. The end. He got pretty much he got ragdolled in that fight, the first 2 rounds, man, first 2.5 rounds, and he probably improved his game. But if that's the case against Rani Yaya, you won't get the chance to stand up, I think. And Rani Yaya is gonna do it with a first round submission. And I know very many people are high on Simone, me too, but this is a very bad matchup for him, I think. Or we have to catch Yaya early with a good punch. But taking Rani Yaya here with let's spice it a little with the anaconda choke.
Yeah, I mean, Yaya, very underappreciated here. He's won 3 straight via submission, 7 out of 8 overall, and 5 of those wins by submission. I mean, those are Charles Oliveira level numbers right there.
Exactly.
Simone, I thought his last bout against Montel Jackson, really outworking him for 15 minutes, grinding out a victory, was far more impressive than either his Contender Series battle or his UFC debut. But man, Yaya can definitely catch a submission. This fight kind of reminds me of when Matthew Lopez came off Dana White's Looking for a Fight a couple years ago, and everyone was kind of really high on him. He was the betting favorite, and then Ronnie Yaya just found a way to get it done. Pretty much dominated the fight and won via submission. I'd be surprised, but heck, I think Ricky Simone is just dumb tough and has that ability to grind and keep going and pushing the pace for 15 minutes. Yaya did gas out a little bit against Joe Soto. I'm going to take Simone here via decision victory, but if Yaya catches another submission, by all means, wouldn't be surprised, and especially in a fun anaconda choke. I mean, I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I love to see any kind of Darce or anaconda in the UFC. I wouldn't hate that either. It is co-main event time, and man, we have a fun fight on paper, that's for sure. The number 6th ranked middleweight Israel Adesanya, a sizable -650 favorite in this one. He takes on the former UFC middleweight champion and pound-for-pound king, the number 15 ranked Anderson Silva, plus 425 as an underdog. And I appear to have lost my co-host once again. I will go ahead and kick things off here. I mean, what can you say about this matchup? Adesanya 15-0 and seems to keep getting better and keep growing inside the octagon. Anderson Silva's been out of action so long. I mean, do I need to keep going on the breakdown here? I think in Israel Adesanya gets it done with a KO, and I think it's going to be in the second round. He's going to be patient. Big Marcel, we dropped you for a second. I didn't have much to say other than I think this is a tailor-made matchup for Israel Adesanya. But what do you got? You're a technical guy. Want to hear your breakdown on this co-main event?
Yeah, both are obviously very good on the feet. I mean, Israel Adesanya is still undefeated. He's coming from glory kickboxing. I want to see Adesanya against a ground guy, man. Actually, not against Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva, who is actually on the how do you say that? He's literally in the back door already. He's getting older. This is probably a perfect matchup for Adesanya to show his stand-up qualities again, and probably by the second round TKO are going here with Adesanya. But man, I would love to see Anderson Silva get a win here, you know. But I don't see it happening, honestly. This is probably this is a fight that gets Israel Adesanya even more hype behind him, I think. But it probably gets him a title shot, actually, because Anderson Silva got promised a title shot. And I think the UFC, this is what I think, the UFC wants Israel to beat Anderson Silva to get that hype even more behind him, to have a real legend on his record and to get to that next level of a title shot, you know. And I think it's going to happen, man, probably by the second round TKO. And there's nothing more to say, man. It's really a veteran against a guy who's actually not that young. Everybody thinks he's still very young, but Israel Adesanya isn't that young anymore. But he still is I think he's very much on top of his game. And I see him defeating Anderson by stoppage. TKO win, second round.
Yeah, you said something interesting there. You think that with a win here, an impressive win, Israel Adesanya gets a title shot at the winner of Robert Whittaker and Kelvin Gastelum. You think he's next in line if he gets the win here?
1000%, man. I don't think that. I think the UFC wants to do that. I mean, the UFC goes where the money goes. Israel Adesanya is very popular by many fans, so they're gonna make that fight, man. No matter what, they're not gonna give Joel Romero another shot. He's booked against Paulo Costa, by the way. So this is where they will go.
What about Jacare?
They don't give they don't give a flying F about Jacare. I do. I love Jacare. I think he's an amazing fighter, you know, but he's not gonna get it. I mean, in my opinion, he beat Kelvin Gastelum in that 3-round fight. That's my opinion. But he didn't get it, and he will not get it right now. I don't know what they're gonna do with him.
And
But
he was finished by Robert Whittaker, not to mention that either.
that's true. That's definitely true. But yeah, what can you say, man? They're going to go with Israel Adesanya. I really see this happening, and I think Israel Adesanya against either Gastelum or Whittaker will be too quick. That's what I think. But hey, let's see what's going to happen. You know?
Yeah, well, that's why they fight. So who knows? Maybe we'll get another turn back the clock performance like we got with Jose Aldo last week. A lot tougher of a task this week for Anderson Silva than Jose Aldo's matchup, but you never know with these things. All right, well, it is time for the main event of the evening. 5 rounds in the UFC's middleweight division. The champion, the reigning, defending, undisputed UFC middleweight champion, Robert Whittaker, a minus 265 favorite as he defends his title against the number 4 ranked Kelvin Gastelum, a plus 205 underdog. Man, this is going to be a fight on the feet if I've ever seen one. I don't think this fight's hitting the ground once, but Big Marcel, I want to get your expert opinion here because I have a feeling we might see this thing a little bit differently.
Okay, cool. Listen, man, I'm very high on Robert Whittaker for years since I saw him at Tough Nations. He won that Ultimate Fighter. And I literally never picked against Robert Whittaker in neither fight. I'm huge on Robert Whittaker. I said it like 4 years ago. This guy's going to be a champion one day. Didn't expect it to be at the middleweight actually, but yeah, he went up a weight class and he looked great since when he went to middleweight. You know, Gastelum, very great fighter. I mean, Belfort knockout, Bisping knockout. He lost to Whiteman. And he got a very close win against Jacare, which I didn't really agree with. That said, they couldn't give it to Whiteman, man. I think the title shot, but I didn't really agree with the title shot for Kelvin Gastelum at that moment. That said, I think he will give a good fight. Definitely, I see it going hard 3-4 rounds, and I think Whittaker will beat him by TKO because Gastelum will probably gas out after a few rounds, and Whittaker got that 25 minutes going hard, can get hit. You saw it against Romero. I'm huge on Whittaker. I never pick against him, so TKO 4th round, Robert Whittaker, and still.
Well, you let off that analysis by saying I never pick against Robert Whittaker, which led me to believe this time you were picking against Robert Whittaker, which you did not. That being said, my suspicion was right. Robert Whittaker, an absolute champion in every sense of the word, fantastic on the feet. Ever since he moved to middleweight, I mean, he's undefeated at middleweight since moving up. His last loss, I believe, was to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson at welterweight. Robert Whittaker, pound for pound, one of the best in the world. Just not enough good things can be said about his game, his presence, him as a personality, very true professional, really good in his community, a family man. A lot good can be said about that. I do think those back-to-back wars with Yoel Romero, though, may have loosened it up a little bit for him. I mean, especially the UFC 225 fight last June. Man, that was razor close, and there were definitely times where Whittaker was hurt in that fight. Kelvin Gastelum, one of those guys, just bites down on the mouthpiece and comes forward. Has not faced a level of striker like Robert Whittaker, I don't think, is as fast and as elusive as Robert Whittaker. But Kelvin Gastelum, you mentioned those knockouts at middleweight. He just lets his hands go, man. He is really sharp on the feet. I wouldn't be surprised if either fighter gets it done, but I have this suspicion that Kelvin Gastelum is going to catch him maybe in the 3rd or 4th round with the TKO. That big left hand's going to find a home, and then he's going to swarm and get the finish. And the new undisputed UFC middleweight champion, whether or not you agree with him getting this shot, I think it's a good matchup for Gastelum, and he finds a way to get it done. Surprised at my analysis there, Big Marcel?
Yeah, pretty much. Definitely in later rounds, man. I think Whittaker will beat him in later rounds. So I think if Gastelum will get it done, he has to do it early, you know. And man, Whittaker has a chin, dude. I mean,
he does. He does.
Yeah,
he's not going to go down. He's not going to go quietly at all, and he's a lot harder to hit than people make him out to be. But Kelvin Gastelum is not only my pick to win the UFC middleweight championship, but he is also my underdog pick for the evening. A new tradition we started here on the breakdown. I was actually able to successfully get on the board with Thiago Alves last week, whether you agree with it or not. So I am in charge of that leaderboard with a 1-0 lead on my amazing co-host, Big Marcel. Looking up and down the card, do you have an underdog you know is going to get the job done this week?
Man, I have to think which underdog I pick. Yaya wasn't an underdog, right?
He is.
Yes, yeah. Let's pick him. Yeah.
Yaya. Okay. All right, so we got our underdog picks. I'm going with the main event and Kelvin Gastelum, the title challenger. My gracious co-host going with Hani Yaya, the surging submission specialist Brazilian bantamweight. Now, moving on to bonuses. We're all knotted up at 4. Fight of the night. Who you got?
If there was a fight of the night, like 4 performances like last time. Let's see. Who got fight of the night? Yeah, the main event.
Main event. Good pick. Yeah, and one thing I forgot to point out, if in fact there are 4 performance of the night bonuses and one of the fight of the night performance that we picked is awarded, I counted it for us. So for example, last week I believe you picked for fight of the night. Who did you pick for fight of the night last week, if I had it correct? Man, I'm already getting lost in my notes here.
Maybe Aldo Moicano, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's what, Aldo Moicano, and Jose Aldo got the win, so I counted that. Now, I picked the Marlon Moraes Rafael Assunção fight to be fight of the night. Moraes got the performance bonus, so we counted both those for that as well.
Okay.
All right, fight of the night here. Devontae Smith, Dong Hyun Ma. Don't think it's going more than 2 rounds, but I think we're going to have some fun back and forth action for the 2 rounds, and especially being the featured prelim, a lot of eyes going to be on that fight on ESPN. Definitely going to give the green light there. Now, performance of the night bonuses. I will kick things off. And the new undisputed UFC middleweight champion, Kelvin Gastelum, another pick for me on his front. He's going to pick up the performance of the night bonus. And then in the co-main event, Israel Adesanya taking out Anderson Silva in the 2nd round with a TKO. He is my other pick for performance of the night. Big Marcel, which way you leaning on this one?
Yeah, man, let's keep it boring. Adesanya and Whitaker.
That's all right.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, no worries. All right, well, that's going to wrap up UFC 234 here on the breakdown on the LoudMouth MMA Podcast Network. Just want to give a shout out to the other co-hosts we have on the network, and just the leaders of the network, Kyle Steele, Keith Schillen, dedicate a lot of their time and efforts to growing this thing. So we really appreciate all the work that they've put in. As Joe Rogan would say, without them, none of this would be possible. Big Marcel, any last words, thoughts, anything within UFC 234 or the world of MMA before we plug our stuff and get out of here?
No, man, just enjoy the fights. I mean, like we always do. And yeah, let's go, man. I mean, back-to-back fight weeks. Next week again, UFC Phoenix. I mean, I can't wait. Then it's on a Sunday. This time it's a Saturday, don't forget. So, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, and speaking of UFC Phoenix, for those out there, be sure to check out MMA DNA and our very own Big Marcel's interview with Brian Bam Bam Barberina as he takes on Vicente Luque on that UFC Phoenix card. Great interview, about 11 minutes long. Definitely worth checking out. Some things you didn't know about Brian Barberina heading into that bout. So really good interview from my generous co-host over here. But Big Marcel, where else can the people find you and your content?
MMADNA.nl, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, MMADNA, and my personal accounts on Twitter and Instagram, Big Marcel24. And also big shout out to the LoudMouth MMA podcast, to Kyle, to Keith, Davidson, to you, Max. You know I love to do these breakdowns with you. You're an amazing dude, man. And everybody follow Trademark MMA on Twitter, man.
Well, as I say this every week, my co-host Big Marcel has the best social media MMA account out there, man. If you like fight announcements, if you like interesting tidbits, if you like matchups, analysis, thought-provoking opinions. Follow Big Marcel 24 on Twitter and Instagram, and be sure to check out MMA DNA. Some great content from the team over there. Couldn't agree more. LoudMouth MMA Network. Be sure to check that out. iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And our boy Davidson Baker, the great of the MMA Takeover, hosting that Around the Cage show. Really fun weekly show. Be sure to check that one out. If you like ESPN, you like Around the Horn, this is a show you're not going to want to miss. But you can find me on Twitter at Trademark MMA. Haven't been writing too much, a pretty busy schedule with a full-time job and everything, but hope to have some content back out at Cage Side Press and the Body Lock soon. But always have time for you, Big Marcel, and these breakdowns, because this is the thing I look forward to most during the week. So great to talk to you. Really excited for UFC 234. Any last thoughts, words for the people?
Nothing, man. Enjoy the show. See you next week.
Enjoy the fights, everyone. We're signing out this week. Take care.